When the healthcare reform law was passed in March of 2010, we provided our clients with a fairly simple strategy to comply with the largest piece of healthcare legislation many of us will ever have to face. This strategy was to focus on complying with the short-term provisions, or those scheduled to be implemented in the first 12 to 18 months. There were essentially three reasons for this advice. First, these changes were less impactful and relatively minor when compared to those scheduled for 2014. Second, the details of those changes were available. That is to say, the rules for these provisions were being written so employers could determine what the impact of their decisions would be. The final reason for this approach was the law was controversial and would face three distinct political challenges before the major provisions became effective. Those three challenges were the 2010 congressional elections, the Supreme Court ruling on various state challenges to the constitutionality of the law, and finally, the 2012 congressional and presidential elections. While two of these events have come and gone, with little significant change to what the employers will face in 2014, there is still much debate about the potential impact of the upcoming elections. Some have even speculated that no matter what happens with the 2012 elections, it is unlikely that Obamacare will be completely repealed. For these reasons, we believe it is now appropriate for employers to take some time to consider the potential landscape in 2014. There are three major components of healthcare reform scheduled for 2014. They are the individual mandate, state or federal insurance exchanges, and potential employer penalties or the pay-or-play rules. These components will have an impact on almost all employers and will require you to rethink the role of employer-provided health insurance. Since we still cannot predict what may happen as a result of the upcoming elections, we believe it is now appropriate for employers to begin to focus on what they will need to consider for 2014. We believe that if and when these provisions become effective, every employer will take a very pragmatic approach when it comes to their benefit planning. It seems clear to us that every employer will need to decide how it will deal with healthcare reform. The analysis will be similar for all, but slightly different for employers with fewer than 50 employees, or small employers, and for those with 50 or more employees, i.e. large employers. Even though there is no penalty under healthcare reform for small employers who do not offer coverage, many have traditionally offered health coverage to attract and retain quality employees. Under the changes proposed in 2014, these small employers will be able to take a step back and direct some or all of their employees to insurance exchanges. There are two options for small employers to consider. Under the first scenario, the small employer drops its group health plan and employees will go to the exchange where guaranteed coverage with no pre-existing condition exclusions is available. Alternatively, the small employer may decide to continue its group health plan for select employees. Under either scenario, the employer may elect to increase the compensation for some of the employees who get their coverage through the exchange. The employer should note the additional compensation would be subject to Social Security or FICA taxes, and the amount is taxable income to the employees. In addition, the amount the employee pays for the coverage through the exchange would not be tax deductible for most employees. A large employer's analysis is similar but slightly different because a large employer will be required to offer quality, affordable coverage or pay a penalty. This is commonly referred to as the pay-or-play rules under healthcare reform. The financial impact, including the tax consequences, to both employer and employees is outlined in greater detail in the attached link titled Pay or Play. Large employers should understand that the healthcare reform penalties apply only to full-time domestic employees. For that reason, some employers may decide to modify their workforce to avoid or reduce these penalties. For example, some employers may replace full-time employees with part-time employees, while other employers may move some business functions offshore or outsource some of the work to employees located overseas. It's still premature to revamp your current structure, but we believe it is appropriate to begin to formulate general concepts and strategies. As always, We encourage you to contact your McGowan Brabender representative if you have any questions.